Yeah. So I think it's.
Good evening and welcome to the Hawaiʻi Neighborhood Board. My name is Roberta Mayer. I'm the chair of the board and I represent Subdistrict 10. And I'm going to be asking board members to introduce themselves, and we have a couple of board members online. So Jean, could you start us off?
Sure, I'm Gene Tierney, Subdistrict 8.
Chelsea Che at large.
Riley at large.
Elsie Silvercott, Subdistrict 1.
Samuel Wolf, Subdistrict 4, the Hahaione Valley Condo Towers.
Paige Alton, Subdistrict 11, Portlock Road and Mauna Lua Triangle, Kokokai.
Lisa Bishop at large.
We have a couple of board members online. Board members, would you please introduce yourselves?
Joseph Pugh, District 7, Kalama Valley.
Joel Brilliant at large.
Dixon Park at large.
And I think I saw Holly online as well. She's online, but not able to introduce herself. Well, welcome everyone. We have a large number of people in the audience, and I guess that some of you are here for particular issues. We're going to run through our agenda, and if you're here for a particular issue, we'll welcome your comments right after that presentation. All right, we're going to be moving along and starting with our status reports with the Honolulu Fire Department.
Hello, Mike Kako. Hello, board. My name is Austin Kino. I'm a firefighter 1 on First Watch right over here at Hawaiʻi Station 34. So just going to go over the report for July. For fires, we had 2 structure fires, 0 wildland and brush fires, 0 nuisance fires, 0 cooking fires, and we had 3 activated alarms, which means we got sent to them, but there were no fire. Under emergencies, we had 89 medical emergencies, 0 motor vehicle collisions with pedestrians, 6 motor vehicle crashes and collisions, 4 mountain rescues, 0 ocean rescues, and 0 hazardous materials incidents. We have a fire safety tip for the month. This concerns back to school fire safety. So we want to stress to educate students on what they can do to stay safe during the school year. Things that are important and often overlooked. College students living away from home should take a few minutes to ensure they are living in a fire-safe environment. Don't overload outlets. Keep lamps, light fixtures, and light bulbs away from anything that can burn. Never use your extension cord and large appliances like a refrigerator, never use the extension cord with large appliances like a refrigerator. Cook only where it is allowed. Keep the cooking area clean and free of anything that can burn. If a fire starts in a microwave, keep the door closed and unplug the unit. And lastly, if a disaster happens, know who to call, where to meet. It's an important part of emergency planning for you and your family. Pick one main contact locally and one contact out of town who may be easier to reach during a disaster. Are there any questions?
Are there any questions for the Honolulu Fire Department? Yes, Paige.
Hi, thank you for your report. By any slim chance, do you know if the mountain rescues were at Cocoa Head?
It doesn't list it here. I would say, yeah, it doesn't be specific, but we do. That is a common area that we go to. So it's not specific in this report.
Where would another mountain rescue be if it's not Cocoa Head?
Sometimes we have other hikes in the area, like above Hanama Bay, things that are well paved. So
Okay,
there's a variety of areas that we go to.
thank you.
Any other questions for the fire department? How do you spell your last name?
Kino, K-I-N-O.
Thank you so much.
Take
And
care.
thank you for being here tonight.
Okay. Have a
All
good
right.
evening. Thank you.
Honolulu Police Department is online.
Sorry, I was having trouble. Lieutenant Taro Nakamura with the Police Department. These are stats for July as compared to the previous month. Motor vehicle thefts were 0 as compared to 4. Burglaries were 0 as compared to 3. Thefts in general were 10 as compared to 14. And UEMVs, which is theft from auto, was 7 as compared to 11. Inside a total calls of service of 6,412 for the district. And further statistical information can be found in honolulupd.org. And our back to school, our safety tip for the month is the same as HFD. It's a back to school safety tip. I sent the flyer to you folks earlier on in the month, but if you can, if your kids are bicycling to school, try to make sure that they always wear a helmet and wear bright clothing. If they're going to use the crosswalk, remind them to try to get off their bikes and use a crosswalk as a pedestrian. And then vice versa, if you're a driver and you're taking your kids to school, always be on the lookout for kids that are walking or bicycling to school, because obviously they're smaller and they like to take your time, and hopefully we can all drop off our kids at school safely. And that's
Thank you, Lieutenant. Are there questions for the Honolulu Police Department? No questions? Community? All right, seeing no questions. Lieutenant, thank you very much for being with us tonight and for your report.
take care.
Next on our agenda is the Board of Water Supply. Hello, Iris, welcome.
Good evening. Hope this is better. So I just have one general announcement. I passed out to almost all of you this questionnaire. So we're asking everyone we're participating in a water access and affordability survey. So this is taking place across communities across the country. So we encourage the public to fill out the questionnaire, and it's going to be available till Saturday, September 15th. And it takes about 5 to 10 minutes to complete. So your input will assist the Board of Water Supply to implement programs that better help vulnerable residents, including our kapuna. So responses are confidential. So like it is, I gave many of you the flyer tonight, but it's also on the table at the entrance. It's also available at the Satellite City Hall and at boardofwatersupply.com. And when I do have a chance, I'm going to send it over for the Google Drive for this neighborhood board, and has a QR code that you can use to get into the survey. And that's my one item. Thank you.
All right, questions for the Board of Water Supply? No questions, Iris. Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is our Kaiser Complex Schools, and Principal Shannon Gu is coming aboard. And while he's coming up to the podium, I forgot to acknowledge our neighborhood assistant, Jeffrey Jones, sitting right next to me, and our videographer, Jordan, who's behind the camera. Thank you. All right, Mr. Gu, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me and allowing us to share a little bit about the good things that are going on in the Kaiser Complex of Schools. Just want to share, first of all, our vision of success of all schools, all 6 schools. The learner profile, which is our vision for our students, and it's made up of 10 attributes. It's demonstrated through service and action, and at the highest level, it is intrinsically motivated, self-initiated action demonstrated by our entire school community. So our vision goes beyond and goes to our community. I just wanted to give you an update on some cool things happening at Kaiser High School. One of their students, Noah Hunter, was selected to represent Hawaii and the USA at the Hiroshima International Youth Forum, which is one that tries to aim for world peace and to eliminate all nuclear weapons. So a great honor. On October 28th, they're going to be visited by 300 students from Hokkaido Sapporo International and Technological High School. And they do this, I believe, every other year. Yeah, so it's a great way to interact with international students and to further world peace. One note, the feral chicken removal contract has ended. And so I think they made an impact, but your kukua is still needed. Please do not feed the chickens or release chickens in the vicinity. And then Kaiser football versus Castle, they host their football game on September 6th at 6 p.m. So come out and enjoy that. One statistic I would like to share for Kaiser High School, and I believe it's the top in the state, their graduation rate. They verified it officially as 96.24% graduation rate, which is extremely high. Other schools, yeah. Especially during a time post-COVID where a lot of schools are struggling just for attendance. New Valley, just some announcements, some cool things happening. Fam Jam, they do food trucks and entertainment. That's going to be on September 27th, 5 to 8 p.m. And then at Hawaiʻi here, we have Ohana Night, and they're coming up this Friday. Food and free bouncy houses and a free disco party for all the kids. Come on out. And then we also have our Harvest Fest on October 25th. Also food and haunted house and games. Kamilawiki also has our Keiki Carnival on October 25th, 1:30 to 6 o'clock. And then welcome to Cocoa Head's new principal, Principal Kevin Diaz. All right, I'd like to open up to questions.
Questions for Mr. Gu? Chelsea?
Hi, Mr. Gu. Thank you for that. Where would I be able to find the test scores for reading, writing, and mathematics for secondary schools?
Test scores, like posted student test scores. I think it's by school, so students are not identified. But right now, I think they're still reviewing it, so it's unofficial as of right now. I believe they will be coming out with an announcement in the media sometime in September to share how the public can access that. Yeah.
Any other questions? I'd just like to reiterate for the community and the audience online that at last month's meeting, Paul Balaz from the high school came to the meeting and reported that part of the homecoming activities this year is a proposed homecoming parade on October 16th. And they're in the process of getting approvals for that. And if it's approved, it will be journeying from Cocoa Head District Park down Anapalau Street, down Lunalila Home Road to the school. And they will be bringing back the flaming K in the parking lot. So,
I'm sure
all right. And
50 will be standing by.
yeah,
But that parade, yeah, is supposed to take place about 5:30 p.m. and it's on a Wednesday prior to the homecoming football game and the dance.
all right. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
All right, big mahalo to the Hawaiʻi Neighborhood Board. Aloha.
Thank you. Are there any community announcements? Board members or community members?
Just want to remind everybody in their flyers in the back, on September 14th, second Saturday of every month, but coming up is September 14th, Hawaii Heiau and Kiavava Wetland is open to the public to come learn about this cultural natural resource. And the Alai Ula have had keiki. So bring your cameras if you're interested in learning or caring for the landscape. Their flyers again in the back, or you can go to lhkh.org website. Mahalo.
Come on up, Carol. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Mayor and the board. I'm Carol Jackson from Huinalu Canoe Club and Kaiwi Coast Run. And I just wanted to announce that this year's Kaiwi Coast Run is on November 24th, Sunday before Thanksgiving. But this Saturday is our early entry deadline. So after Saturday night at midnight, our prices will go up. So I just wanted to let the community know. You can register online at evcoastrun.org, evcoastrun.org, or I'll leave this poster in the back and there's a QR code. You can just scan it with your phone. And that's it.
Any other announcements? I do have a few myself. I just wanted to remind everybody that November 16th and 17th, the Ka'ivi Trail is open to the community if anybody is interested. So put that on your calendar. Also, the East Honolulu Watershed Management Plan, the final draft will be shared with the public on September 18th at Cocoa Head Elementary School and on Zoom at 5:30 p.m. And I just wanted to acknowledge the board, the Bank of Hawaii, who did reach out to the neighborhood board for participants in their cultural impact statement. As you know, they are renovating Outback's restaurant into a new branch. And so they did reach out to members of our community for the cultural impact of their development and, you know, for us to provide input. So I thought that was very nice of them to do so. Are there any public generated issues, items that are not on our agenda, but that the community would like to bring to our attention? Would you please come on up? Oh, and excuse me, while you're coming up, we do have a community announcement from someone online. Amanda, go ahead.
Hello, good evening. I just wanted to let you folks know we are here. Our team is here listening this evening, but we did anticipate a lively discussion tonight, an important one about the proposed wind turbine. So we will be yielding our time this evening to allow others an opportunity to ensure that their voices are heard this evening. Thank you so much.
Okay. Come on up. Would you please introduce yourself and your issue?
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Judy Keith. I live in Mariners Village 3, three-generation family with my daughter, her husband, and a second grader and a preschooler. And I am concerned about the lack of access to the early childhood education program. It has been in the state for a fairly recent amount of time. I'm not sure exactly how long, but this is the first year it has been available here on East Oahu. And they will be offering it at Hawaiʻi and at Cocoa Head. It will not be available at Kamilaʻuiki. This is due to space constraints. I have spoken with Mr. Yoshimoto, the principal, very nice man. Ms. Arikawa Cross, who is the staff person that's in charge of the early childhood education at the state level. And I've spoken with somebody from Lieutenant Governor Luke's office. I have reached out to Representative Ward and Senator Lee's offices and have not heard back from them. My concern is not only that it is not available this year, and I do understand space is an issue, but there seems to be no real interest in pursuing what can be done moving forward. I don't think it's right that children that live in one part of Hawaii don't have access to the same opportunities that children living in other neighborhoods do. I can think of a couple of possible solutions, but nobody seems to have any particular interest in, hey, what can we do to fix this? So here I am to put my plea out to you guys. And I don't know where to take it from here because I've talked to everybody I can think of. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Judy. Is Mr. Gu still in the audience? Okay, all right. We have someone online
Madam Chair,
also.
may I respond? Madam Chair, Representative Ward, may I say something?
Oh, yes. Okay, go ahead, Representative Ward.
Madam Chair, in our newsletter last month, we noted how Cocoa Head Elementary and Hawaiʻi were going to be those preschool and everything that the constituent just noted that it's already in process. Now, there's something missing there in terms of her understanding because they wouldn't announce they're going to do Koko Head and Hahioni if they weren't going to do it. So have her call my office and we will straighten this thing out because yes, it's the first time they've ever come here and it shouldn't be where it's not accessible.
Easy.
Representative Ward, I think that the issue was that there was
Thank
no
you.
program at Camilo Iki, that there are programs at Koko Head Elementary and Hawaʻi. The issue is classroom space, also faculty. And I believe that Hawaʻi and Koko Head each have one class. And so, of course, numbers would be limited for the one class as well. So, but thank you for that. I appreciate your input.
Okay. Thank you.
We're going to be moving on to presentations. Oh, I'm sorry, we have one more. Tara? Someone
Aloha.
online?
Yeah. Aloha, Tara Rojas. Thank you for recognizing me. I would like to say, as everyone drinks a sip of their water tonight, to really appreciate that and realize that the Oahu Watershed Management Plan that was just amended for East Honolulu and in City Council, I was wondering, just like how all the neighborhoods did for Kapukaki for Red Hill to write resolutions, I was wondering when that comes out and you present it, if all the neighborhood boards could join together and make a strong statement on having and upholding the Oahu Watershed Management Plan in light of the recent announcements that we've heard of the Navy watching their testing. 8,000 tests in 2 years were just invalidated because they knew and they did not follow their own protocol. So I was wondering if we could really make a resolution island-wide again to uphold the Oahu Watershed Management Plan and hold the Navy accountable so that the remediation does not fall upon us, the taxpayers. They have the money to remediate it and to hold them accountable for their recent actions that we found out about the invalidation of all the tests in 2 years. So can we think about that when it comes out and to join together because our water is precious and we only have one sole source. Mahalo.
Thank you, Tara. Let me remind you that that the Watershed Management Plan is being presented on September 18, and hopefully the community will go out to hear the presentation. And the Neighborhood Board has taken a position in strong support of that Watershed Management Plan. So we do support it. Okay,
Madam Chair, may I make a
yes.
Madam Chair, may I make a note?
All right, go ahead.
And that
Representative
is
Ward.
that I concur with Tommy Waters. Tommy Waters and I felt it would be the best gesture that we could do this evening to cut our portion and give it to the public because we should have farmers in Hawaii Kai, not solar farms. We should have dirt farmers. And I know there's a lot of controversy and we want to make sure everybody in that building has a chance to say what they say. And I'm working with the Congressional Ed Case's office. He's aware of it. And what is dumbfounding is, and I know Elizabeth and Lisa know the best, once this process gets going, there's no stopping. That is so undemocratic, so much unlike our community. When we hear about what's going on, there's nothing we can do. And lastly, as a Vietnam veteran, when it says, this is in terms of national defense, we can allow the submarines and all the other ones to be put into the danger zone there with those floating platforms. Having said that, Madam Chair, Tommy and I are we've yielded our time for our messages.
Thank you very much. All right, we have someone else at the podium. Would you please introduce yourself and your issue?
My name is Richard. Sorry, I'm not good with crowds, everybody, but I just have an issue. I called the cops plenty times because I live up the street on the 600 block. I'm not going to tell you my address, but I live up on Hawaii Street. And, Plenty times I pick up my daughter, my baby girl goes over here. She's a preschooler. And she did daycare last year, but plenty of people over here, they speed. They treat it like it's a raceway. I mean, after 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, me and my daughter, we go outside, we listen to the Bluetooth. There's the, elderly people, Pupuna's driving, teenagers just driving, they're driving speed limit. It's 25 miles an hour over here. But people is overtaking cars. A couple of times, I go across the street with my neighbors. The next time I look to the left, I cross the street, I look right, the car is coming up already. I'm almost get banged already. And the thing is too, I worry about is because I'm going to tell you my address. I live at 624. That's my address. So I've been on workman's comp for 1 year. I broke my ankle. So I have nothing to do. So I'm always outside cleaning. I look like a crazy guy. You know what I mean? My neighbors think like, this guy never sits down. He's always outside cleaning, So when the school gets out, I'm always on my toes. But sometimes I have to pick up my daughter. And then when I see kids crossing over here, even over here on, what is it? Pe'ekeo Street. People speed. They go around cars. There's a line to pick up the kids. People is going around the cars. So like I haven't gone to Walgreens. I went to Walgreens, recently. There was a speed bump over there on Kalaniano Ole Highway. I'm like, why can't you guys, not you guys, but why can't the state put something up over there, over here, to make people slow down before? Because the last thing I want to see is a kid get hurt. Because I ain't going to tolerate that. I'm going to end up going to jail because I don't want to see no kid getting hurt.
Thank you very much, Richard. Yes, this
And then-
issue has come up before, and I'd like to remind the community that we do need to be mindful about children going to school.
Right.
And so people should not be speeding adjacent to schools. And
Right.
the issue of a speed hump or bump did come up, and I believe that Representative Ward has a traffic task force that's kind of
Okay.
looking at all of this. So I'm sure that he will be following up with
Okay.
your comments as well.
Okay, thank you. But anyway, can I speak some more?
Sure.
I called the cops 2 times already. I said, you guys, I called them up because I get irritated. Sometimes I want to go on the road and tell them, bro, slow down. Like me, I'm not that kind of type to take anything from anybody. I'm just saying. But I tell them, you guys, I called the cops 2 times already, and I told them, you guys radar on Hawaiʻi Drive, Kalaniano Ole Highway. I told them, what is so hard about stationing right over here? Right? There's a bend when you come out by the crosswalk. I live right there. You can't see if there's a cop car or a motorcycle cop. You know what I mean? The cop that came last time to my house when I had an issue with my daughter, he was the cop I seen radaring over there. And I told him, how come you guys can't radar over here where people speed? You know what I mean? He said, oh, we cannot because they're going to see the blue and white. They're going to know already to slow down. But I'm like, no, but that's not the point. You know what I mean? Because if I was a cop, I would stay there all day because you know how much tickets I would get? I would get my quota in within 2 weeks. People's speed over here is crazy. And the last thing I want to do is somebody get hurt, an elderly person, anybody. I don't care. You know what I mean? But it's just that, I get irritated. It's like,
Thank
it's
you.
not irritated, but I'm sorry. I'm just speaking my mind.
I understand, but I'm going to,
Everybody over here. I live Hawaiʻi a long time already. I'm originally from.
thank you. We got your issue
Okay.
and
I
we
just
are
want to
aware.
make sure you got it
I
because
got it.
I
got
don't
it.
want to go to jail. You know what I mean?
All right.
But I'm just saying, hopefully you guys can do something about it. I mean,
Madam Chair.
All right.
you know what I mean, right?
Yes. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
All right. Thank you.
All right, Representative Ward, do you want
Madam
to say
Chair, I need
something
kind of
in it
enthusiasm
for
on
this
that.
issue? Representative Ward?
Yes, Madam Chair, I need that kind of enthusiasm on our traffic task force. If he could call my office, we're going to sign him up and we're going to make him busy and we get the job done. Because what he's talking about is very true. It's very important. So you
Yes.
should call my
Okay.
office.
Richard, if you could come up or write
Thank
your
you.
first and last name and your telephone number, Representative Ward will get back to you and invite you to be on his task force. All right. And a reminder again, this is a big issue, speeding next to our schools. So please watch out for our keiki. All right, our first presentation is significance and challenges faced with increase in nesting honu on Oahu. And our presenter is online, Sheldon Plentovich. She's the Pacific Islands Coastal Program Coordinator from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
Aloha, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can, Sheldon.
Awesome. Okay, and can you see my screen?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, Sheldon. Are you muted? We can't hear you.
Okay, hold on.
Now we can hear you.
Oh, interesting. But you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
It seems like when I go into presenter mode, you can't hear me. Let me try it one more time. Okay, it seems like when I'm in presenter mode, you can't hear me. All right, can you see the slides moving through now?
Yes, go ahead.
All right, okay. So, mahalo opportunity to talk about nesting. I'm going to start just a little bit of history about the historical nest, you know, where they used to nest. I'll talk a little like predation, discarded fishing line, and focus impact of artificial light. And then what to so 7 species of sea. They're genetically protected. Exact little site for them. They were born, and they don't for the first time. So on all of the main islands and all the northwestern islands, but as many of us know, the edible harvest that happened, sustained honu, the commercial heart through the mid-90s, and that was primarily for human consumption. Eggs and by and it you know, turtle soup come from around the world just to try turtle soup. Sustainable harvest all the areas, islands, in the main Hawaiian Islands and the northwestern Hawaiian Islands, with one exception, and is lalo or French frigate gulls. Not going to be able to see. There we go. So here's a. Hopefully you can see this, and then this is lalo. So all of these turtles that you see here in the nearshore area around Oahu are to over 90% of them are low-lying islets, foot elevation. As many of you know, East Island was in 2018. Wallow is not a viable for safe nesting want our Honu future. So even though we've seen that is increasing per year, we haven't seen expansion into new nests until recently. And so, I forces were Malama Inaho, and we recruited and trained volunteers. So has collaborated. We utilize volunteers as all potential nesting beaches. We locate and then excavate the nest. Wait. And then one of our main objectives engagement. Some of you came to excavation and interested in what's happening with Honu. Once a week, and the app that we have made, and directed outreach with landowners and other things, they're keeping we sure once the hatchling own, will go out and the neighbors and beachgoers and observe. Gathering data on, and we also gather information on some of the canopy cover over the our data. This is basically kind of all the data we've collected since 2016. A year this here. Y-axis. You can see any net. We had at one site at Marine Corps Base, and then thing happened during when we had this 60s, 30 the last 2 years, and so it does look like it is a statistic citing reports know that it's not turtles. Can lay 4 nests per season, so they nest 4 years, and on the year that they nest, they array between 2, and so average of 4 nests a year in in the 2020. So a relative.
Sheldon, excuse me, Sheldon.
For reference.
Sheldon, we're having a difficulty hearing you. We can see the screen, but your presentation is a little garbled. So,
oh, that's so weird.
Do you have the video focused on you, or?
Yeah, like I've done WebEx a million times, so I'm not sure what's happening. Can you hear me better now?
Yes, we did something on our end. So can you put your share your
I
screen
haven't moved or anything.
Okay, share your screen one more time. There you go. All right, go ahead. Continue.
Oh, that's a bummer though, that, okay. So I'm just making the point that, even though this looks like in the last 4 years, we've had a lot of nests, and we have, compared to previous years, it is a small number of nests or a small number of adults, because each female honu can nest up to 9 times a season at 2-week intervals. So and the average is about 4 nests per season for each female. And so even though we had, 58 nests in 2020, you divide that by 4, we're only talking about 14 turtles. So it's a pretty small number, especially when you compare it to what's happening at Lalo or French Frigate Shoals, where there's an average of about 400 nesting females each year. So this is a really small number on Oahu, but it's very significant because it's the first indication that we've had that there's been any recovery of nesting areas in the main islands. Okay, and then the final few slides, I just want to talk a little bit about threats. The biggest threats that the hatchlings face is lighting. And it could be, you can see this picture, this is a light, funny enough, it's at a wind farm and it's 4 miles away, and it was a crane light at the wind farm, and it caused the 4 nests at James Campbell, like hundreds of hatchlings emerged, and they saw that light and they all went Malka. And so lighting is, definitely the biggest problem, followed by predators like mongoose, free roaming cats, invasive ants. And then fishing line, even small pieces of fishing line can entangle turtles so that they can't emerge. And driving on the beach compacts the sand so that the turtles can't get out. And, the lights that disorient hatchlings, turtles, also disorient seabirds. And so we try to, when we talk about this, we try to combine these because it's the same message to the public. White lights are problematic for fledgling seabirds and for hatchling turtles who use the moon and the stars to navigate to the ocean. And so when the animals become disoriented, they are easy prey. Seabirds will be disoriented. They'll fly in circles around the lights till they hit something and they fall to the ground. And then they're easy prey for predators like cats, mongooses, dogs, fire ants. So here on the left, you can see a hatchling that was disoriented by 1 bathroom light at Bellows, and it's being eaten alive by fire ants. And then here you can see a downed wedge-tailed shearwater that was depredated by a cat. So, final slide. If we want to, Hawaii Kai is bright, and I can show you like our fallout map here. This is an older fallout map, but the newer ones have the same pattern where there's a lot of fallout in this area. And that's because that's seabird fallout, and that's because we have nesting seabirds all along this site, and they transit, through the Kaiwi Channel and around the point of Oahu. And so if you do want to do something, about your lights at your house, you can turn lights off and use motion sensors and dimmers when possible. You can keep the light low to the ground, and you can shield it so that the light isn't spraying, into the sky or laterally. So you can use the shield to just light what you need to light. And you can use amber and red bulbs. Those are less disorienting for wildlife. And you can use low pressure sodium and amber LEDs, which use less energy than the incandescent or fluorescent counterparts. And that's all I have. Sorry about the technical difficulties.
Thank you very much, Sheldon. That was very informative. Could you please, the audience is applauding for you. Sheldon, could you please send me your PowerPoint deck, and I will share it with the board members.
Yes,
I'm going to be opening up to the board for questions. Elizabeth, you have a question?
Hey, Sheldon, is there anything fun happening at Sandy Beach with turtle?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, this year, so we only have one nest at Sandy Beach. It might be a false crawl. She came up and she hit the parking lot, which was kind of a bummer. But we have 5 nests at Diamond Head this year, which is really interesting. And so I'll let you know when we excavate those nests and you guys can come out. And if Sandy Beach is a nest, of course, I will let you know when we excavate that one.
Sheldon, could you stop sharing your screen, please?
Yes.
Are there any other questions? Members of the audience, if you would like to ask questions, come on up. Board members, any questions? Sheldon, how big is a team do you have that go out and check these sites for the Honu nests?
It's about 50 volunteers that are once a week. And then we have a group of about 15 volunteers that work multiple days a week. You know, we have some beaches that we cover every day. And when the nest to the hatch, we have people visit the nest every single day so that we can count the number of hatchling tracks that are going down to the ocean or the number of tracks that are going Malca. And that's how we're at such good data on disorder. But right now it's and we have about 30 on Hawaiʻi starting this year.
Great. We have a question from the audience.
This is Joyce Riley. I actually have 2 questions. I was under the impression that Oahu has a law against lights on the beach at night from homes. Is that true? And if so, how would we report and who would we report to? I see a lot of houses on Lanikai beaches with bright floodlights that come on every time anyone walks down the beach, not even in their yard.
That requires all lights be shielded. It's an older ordinance, but it still about those floodlights. And
right,
you could care. Me and I can have our volunteer if you're interested in that. We're happy to do that. That's part of, you know, what we do with this project.
Great, I'll do that. Thank you. Second question, you mentioned how most of the turtles migrate down to Lalo Island. Do they pass through the Ka'ivi Channel?
Mm-hmm. Yes, some of them do. So they're moving north and you know, from all the islands, and the females will be doing it every 4 years or so. And yeah, they could definitely be moving through the Ka'ivi Channel.
Are they all endangered species of turtles?
They are all protected species. You know, we mostly only have Honu nesting here, which are protected under the Endangered Species Act as threatened. But we have had Kemp's redleaf nest, and we have had caretta, which is the loggerhead turtle, actually dig on Crozier a few years back, but she didn't lay eggs. And we do have hawksbill turtles in the area that are surely, you know, using all the nearshore areas, but we don't have any documented nesting on Oahu.
Thank you
There is
very
on
much.
Molokai though. Yes.
Sheldon, thank you very much for your presentation and for all of the work that you're doing. We do have a hand up online. Tara, you have a question?
Yes, I do have a question for her. What is the effect of any disturbance or sonar or, you know, just sound underwater? How does it affect the Honu? That's my first question. And then my next comment after the question is to make sure she stays to listen to the next presentation. But can she answer the question about how sound, like, you know, how it affects those, especially if she said that they are endangered species, they're federally protected, and they do go through the Ka'ivi Channel. And then, you know, especially on
All right, let her answer the question, Tara.
Yeah, so I am not an expert on sound, but you can talk to Dr. Sun at NOAA. She's a turtle expert, and she will have more information on that. I'm not sure, how they're affected by sound. I know from being underwater when I do hear sonar that, it can be really loud, and it's problematic for many species in the literature, but I am not an expert on it, so I'd rather not speak about it.
And just to let you know, there were divers that when the Navy, sounded their sonar, it actually blew their eardrums and they had to go to the emergency room.
Yeah, I can't imagine being underwater when that happened. And then the last thing I want to say is that, all the Honu are protected under the Endangered Species Act, and all the seabirds too that I was discussing that are sensitive to fallout. All of our seabirds are protected under the Migratory Bird Treaty Act or the Endangered Species Act. And Southeast Oahu is, you have so many offshore islets in that area, and the birds transit that area going to and from their nest sites. And so that's why there is a lot of seabird fallout in Kai. And so, like lighting Hawaii Kai more responsibly will decrease the amount of seabird fallout in that area.
Again, thank you very much, Sheldon. We appreciated your presentation tonight. Sheldon
All
is.
right, mahalo.
Okay, she actually lives in Haleiwa, and so she agreed to join us online tonight. Our next presentation is Aukahi Energy Proposed Offshore Wind Project. The presenter is Noelani Kalipi, who is the Vice President of Development. Welcome, Noelani. We appreciate your being here tonight to educate us.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and share my presentation.
Yes,
if
please.
That's okay. Sure why it's not coming. Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much, and thank you to the community for coming out. My name is Noelani Kalipi. I'm the Vice President of Development for Aukahi Energy. And we have a brief presentation about our proposed project and who we are. So Aukahi Energy is a joint venture between Progression Energy and EDF Renewables. We are incorporated in Delaware. We have a local team of Hawaii residents who are experienced in renewable energy projects. Our team has built more than 150 megawatts of wind and solar in Hawaii, and we have a track record with stakeholder outreach and engagement. Our joint venture partner is EDF Renewables, who is a global leader in renewable energy and in offshore wind. And we deliberately decided to work with them because they have the technical and engineering experience, and they are currently working on 23 gigawatts of offshore wind globally. Why would we want to consider offshore wind? In terms of meeting Hawaii's needs, there are challenges for Oahu to meet the renewable portfolio standard and decarbonization mandates. Some of those challenges are the population density, the competing priorities of land, the increasing lack of trust and negative experience to date with utility scale renewable energy projects, and the lack of inclusive processes to co-create actions and opportunities to reach Hawaii's clean energy goals. Floating offshore wind is one of the possible solutions for clean energy for Hawaii. It's a proven technology in creating clean energy with a minimal footprint. Compared to onshore turbines, offshore wind, that's what the OSW stands for. Offshore wind has a reduced proximity and visual impact. So it's not right up there in front, but it is very visible. This will be seen from wherever it is placed. The robust wind resource near Oahu can supply approximately 25% of the Oahu's load during the night and during the day. One of the advantages of being out in the ocean is that the wind is more constant. There's extensive permitting processes and regulatory processes to study all potential impacts. In comparison to many of the other clean energy technologies that we've been involved in Hawaii to date, for offshore wind, we trigger almost every permit at the federal, state, and county level. So the amount of scrutiny, permitting, and requirements is rightfully large. There are many influences on whether or not offshore wind can become a reality in Hawaii. There's the need for continuous community participation and engagement. There's the consideration of ancestral knowledge and cultural practices. There's the compatibility with national security and military readiness. And then just for site control, there are multiple aspects. The state of Hawaii's Hawaii State Energy Office is leading the coordination on whether or not offshore wind will work for Hawaii. And in terms of site control, for the site in the ocean, there's the BOEM leasing process. BOEM is the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, which is a federal agency under the Department of the Interior, which has federal jurisdiction over the outer continental shelf. There's the need to look at where you would land once you came on shore. There's the need to compete for a contract from Hawaiian Electric. So there would be an RFP with Hawaiian Electric to determine whether or not we would be selected to generate power. And then if there were to be interconnection, the most likely place of interconnection is on the windward coast at the Ko'olau substation. There are also regulatory processes, as I've already addressed, and then multiple studies and multiple sectors. And this really doesn't list them all. This is just the beginning. Our vision for our project, oh, why did it not? Okay, there. Our vision for our project, we would like to build a project that would be between 400 and 450 megawatts. We have not yet decided on the size of the turbine. The size of the turbines we are looking at are between 15 megawatts and 18 megawatts each. We would be utilizing a floating platform design because of the ocean depth in the project area. We are still evaluating which floating platform would work for the specific area of the project. We have to study everything from currents to the bottom, the sea bottom, what happens, what the, how the storms are, all of that, right? It would have to be designed specifically. If everything were to go well, the earliest, absolutely earliest and most aggressive date we could get to operations would be 2035. Our proposed location for our site is approximately 12 nautical miles east-northeast of Oahu. I have a project site map to show you. We have, our company has executed a mitigation agreement with the Department of Defense. The BOEM process, which is the lease auction process, you have to participate in an auction to get the lease in the ocean for the project site. That process has not yet started. BOEM has come and done 2 meetings to talk about planning to date, one happening last week. And we have not yet determined where we would want to land. We have a preferred area, but we haven't gotten that far yet. The customer, if this were to go through, would be Hawaiian Electric. So we would be selling directly to the grid. I've already shared that the interconnection point would be the Ko'olau substation. We have identified the plethora of permits that would be required, and our community engagement is ongoing, continuous, and just starting. To pick a site, these are the factors that are considered. There has to be enough wind. You have to look at the ocean depth and the bottom. It cannot be too deep. You have to consider environmental and ecological factors. We have to look at the cultural impacts. We'd have to do a Pa'akai analysis, absolutely. We look at distance to shore, right? We look at community priorities in terms of visual impact and access and many other priorities that the community has. We look at shipping lanes, aviation lanes, and we look at impact to national security. This is our proposed site, which is north of the Ka'ivi Channel. It is approximately 12 miles from the two closest points from Oahu to Molokai and from Molokai. I want to be clear that the project area that we have as a developer has determined is the best, looking at the site considerations and lists that we put together. In terms of the actual process, the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management has a federal process that they are just beginning. They will identify the sites that they will determine are eligible for a lease. And as of right now, BOEM has not made a determination as to whether or not our proposed site will be in their leased areas. And we'd like our site to be in their leased areas. I just want to make that clear, but no determination has been made. And I know that there was a lot of confusion during the last two community meetings of the BOEM process about that point. Our project approach is that for any energy project, we have to be comprehensive and inclusive and looking at the big picture. Our approach is aina as ohana and proactive engagement and long-term dialogue about the life of the project, not just development, not just to construction, all the way to decommissioning. We are collaborating with experienced global industry partners in engineering, technology, supply chain operations of offshore wind so that we can learn lessons from where this is being done all over the rest of the world. We're looking to co-create new opportunities with Hawaii residents for Hawaii. What does it actually look like? What can it look like? We are in a period of exploration. We are not asking anyone to support the project. We don't know enough to come to you and ask you to support the project. We are asking for identification of any concerns, any challenges, any worries, so that we can go ahead and look at that and study that. We have the time to actually try to do that. And this will be a multi-layered approach that looks at all aspects. At the end of the day, is offshore wind a good thing for Hawaii? And that has to be an informed decision as we move forward. One of the things we're doing that that is different from some of the other projects is that we are doing what we are calling a community participation process. That is a dialogue with multiple geographic communities, sectors, and interested parties about what does it mean to participate in a large utility scale project. We're also looking at what risks do communities identify, and is there a way to mitigate these risks? So often project developers will do a risk analysis from their view of the risks to whether or not the project goes forward or not. We're also doing a risk analysis, hopefully with the input of community, of what is the risk to the community if the project goes forward, and using that as a starting point for us to have discussions about, are there things that can be mitigated or not? Some of the outcomes could include, but will be determined because we don't have a cookie cutter approach. Obviously, looking at all of the community benefits that have ever been done, right, is important, but we don't know what the communities do or don't want in terms of, quote, community benefits. And that's the purpose of the community participation process. Some of the things that could be considered, just as examples, could include community ownership of a part of the project. Community governance related to the operations. For example, in some of the meetings that I've had Kupuna say, I don't care about making money. I want to be on the advisory board that talks to your board of directors every quarter so I can question how this is operated, right? Then there's the regular benefits consistent with all of the other community benefit agreements. And then what what potential community-owned economic enterprises could come with something like this. So a lot of opportunities, I don't know what the answers are when it comes to that because it'll depend on the dialogue that we have with people. Some other potential opportunities with respect to floating offshore wind include energy self-sufficiency and economic stability. This is not the only solution. It is part of a portfolio of technologies to be considered, right? And in no way, shape, or form are we saying this is the only answer. But it will contribute to Hawaii as a global leader for clean energy and the Hawaii economy hopefully not being as dependent on global oil markets as they fluctuate. There's workforce development opportunities, there's education opportunities, and there's whatever we can create as we explore the community participation process. Key takeaways. Offshore wind as a, oops, I'm not sure what's happening, sorry. Offshore wind is feasible as a technology for Hawaii and is a necessary part of exploring Hawaii's clean energy future. We are ready to compete in all of the competitive processes once they come up, right? So there are competitive processes, again, between BOEM, with Hawaiian Electric, that we would still have to compete for, right? We're just proactively coming out and sharing. To date, we have been working to ensure that the parties who can create the processes are actually doing that, whether or not offshore wind can become a reality for Hawaii. And that this is a comprehensive project that, if done well, could transform the level of community participation in development, construction, and operation, and the decommissioning of projects moving forward. We welcome all input, positive, negative, and neutral. The more input we have at this, especially at this early stage, the better it is for us to be able to explore. And we are not asking for a yes or no. We are asking for help in identifying every issue so that we can study them and be able to provide information to make informed decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Noelani, for your informative presentation. May I please ask that you send a copy of the slide deck to me by email, and I'll share it with the board members.
Yes, Madam Chair.
All right, I'm going to be opening up discussion to questions and concerns. Can I see by show of hands how many people would like to comment on this project? All right. I'm going to, can you please limit your comments to 1 to 2 minutes, since there are a large number of you. You can sit up here and then they can come up and address their concerns to you, because we have people in the audience and also people online. So I'm going to designate approximately 30 minutes for this issue. So we'll try to get in as many speakers as we can during that period. Okay, so come on up and line up. And in the meantime, I'm going to ask the board members for your comments or questions. Chelsea?
Thank you so much, Noelani, for a great presentation. Just a couple of quick questions. One is, the peak usage electric rate right now is 41 cents a kilowatt. Will this lower the kilowatt rate for utilities?
We don't know yet. We would hope so, but that's dependent on the cost and the rate structure that comes in with the PUC. Our project will contribute to how that is done. We don't get to negotiate a rate that the PUC then directs HECO to sell to customers.
So it could increase.
It could.
That's great. Second question, and the last question is, you mentioned in this, there is a request for proposal that's scheduled for 2025, knowing RFP process, that it would seem to me that the HECO is already well on the way. If you're anticipating an RFP process in 2025, a lot of decisions have already been made. And so I'm wondering what you know that belies the the whole point about whether or not this is too early to get involved.
Sure. The Hawaiian Electric has done an integrated grid planning process that has been public. And they have put out a plan that says they would like to, if offshore wind is going to be a part of that portfolio, that offshore, they would like to connect 400 megawatts of offshore wind in 2035. In order to do that, Hawaiian Electric has also announced that they will be issuing a long-term RFP sometime. Right now, it's between 2025 and 2026.
Okay, we have a hand up. Holly, a board member online. Go ahead with your question, Holly, and then followed by Lisa.
Hi, thank you for your presentation tonight. I appreciate it. My question is the Ki'iwi Channel is used frequently by canoe paddlers, by fishermen, by recreational purposes. What safety studies are being done to determine how that'll impact the safety of folks who use the channel recreationally?
As a part of the analysis that is done between the BOEM process as well as any of the other federal regulatory and state regulatory agencies, those studies will need to be done. In terms of access, we are north of the channel, but we've always said we did not want to prevent access to the area. So we'd have to study how close people could get to the actual floating platforms, and the safety studies are not yet being done.
Okay, thank you.
Lisa.
Thank you very much. And you asked for community input. I've talked to several people, many people about this. Not one person I've talked to is in favor. That's the feedback I've gotten.
Okay, thank you, Holly.
Again.
All right, Lisa?
Noelani, thank you very much for coming to the Waikiki Neighborhood Board. I have a couple questions for you. I understand that you were in a 3-year engagement with the DOD's siting clearinghouse to have them lower the defense posture around Oahu in order for you to be competitive with your project, that they had to change the red zone around Oahu to a yellow zone in order for you to be competitive. Is that correct?
Not exactly. The red zone was a mission incompatibility map, which said that was issued in 2017, which said any project within this area was a risk to national security.
Right.
The mitigation agreement that we did addressed certain issues, like not being in certain submarine lanes, not being in certain aviation lanes. It didn't decrease the defense posture. It addressed what areas could be used in that area that would not impact national security.
All right. So if you had not entered into that 3-year process and come up with this mitigation agreement, would you be competitive? Without that mitigation agreement?
We would have to have picked a site that was more in the yellow zone than the red zone.
Correct. Thank you. So my next question is, how many projects do you have that are up and running already in offshore wind? And I don't know the answer to this successfully anywhere in the world.
So
Alkahi Energy.
Alkahi Energy is the name of this project, and
Yes.
we don't have any operating projects to date. Our joint venture partner, EDF Renewables, is working, is about, I want to say 3 years ahead in the Atlantic Shores project, which is off of New Jersey. There are only 4 floating offshore wind projects in operation currently globally.
Is that the one that they just had to stop construction on because?
No.
No. All right. So a different offshore wind project in New Jersey that just had to fold its doors. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, come on up.
Okay, hello? Can you hear me? My question is, you mentioned that you're in the exploratory phase. But you've also said that BOEM has obtained a lease and there is land adjacent to the Kaneohe substation that has already been purchased. Is that correct? And how is it that you've already gotten a lease and bought land if you're exploring?
So we are exploring. There is no lease yet. BOEM has to lease the ocean. As a part of looking at how we could be most competitive in the processes, we have purchased a parcel next to the Ko'olau substation.
Who is funding this?
Our project company is funding it.
Alkahi.
Yes.
Are they getting funding from Ulupono
No.
or the government?
No,
They have gotten independent funding.
correct. EDF Renewables is funding it.
Okay,
Yes.
Joyce, you can't monopolize all the questions. You're going to have
Okay.
to ask the
Question, how
last
many,
question.
windmills are going up?
Depends on the size of the turbine, right? So if you take 450 divided by 15, then whatever that is, I think it's like 33, right? If it's 450 divided by 20, then that would be the number. Depending on which turbine it is, it's taller than a football field.
Okay, aloha everybody. I wanted to ask, does your family from Molokai know about your project and Ka'iwi channel?
Yes.
Okay. You're on, my dude.
Hey, aloha kako. My name is Pono Kalipi. I am Noi's husband's cousin. I am born and raised on Molokai, went to school at Kamehameha Kapalama, and currently residing in Hilo, Hawaii. I have concerns. I think that my main concern is that use aloha or use aina and ohana as your excuses or as your mantra to forward this project, but at what cost? To diminish the Kalipi name, to diminish your, my papa's brother and his wife Auntie Betty and Uncle Spider's name, or even Aina, you want to build these turbines in Kaiwi Channel for your propaganda to give Oahu electric? Where's the electric going on Molokai? Where's the electric?
Okay, hold on. We're not going to be making any personal comments, okay? Please, that's out of line. Our presenter is here to educate us on a possible project. And
She said that her family was involved.
yes, but that's all right. We're not going to be making any personal comments. We're going to be
It's not a
courteous to
personal
our,
comment.
it is. All right,
Expressing a
please.
concern.
That's enough, or we're going to have to
Have to what?
have to recess the meeting until we can get this under control. All right, so do you have a question about the project? Or do you want to just state that you don't support the project? But don't bring up family names, please.
But you rudely interrupted my friend, so it's okay. I'll let the Palangi speak.
Mahalo.
Hello, thank you for sharing. My name is Marty LaPrade, and I'm here to voice my opposition to the project, especially on behalf of my grandsons and all the children of Hawaii who I would like them to enjoy Ka'iwi in its natural state, the way their ancestors enjoyed it. And I have a question. We have actually 16, but I won't ask all of them because we have a short time. I saw the mitigations on a map at the BOEM presentation, so that was just military. But my question is, besides the use of people using the channel, we're the endangered species capital of the world. And it just seems like an awfully big human footprint to increase and to risk the lives of our animals and other species from the depths to the surface to the air. And I think all the questions about that are going to come up. So I'll let other people have a turn.
Aloha, my name is Mia Lisa Otis. As a developer, you should know that sacredness that you are knowingly desecrating. You do not have our consent by checking this meeting off as consultation because we are in opposition. Say if you do get the underhanded bid by Department of Defense by lowering the national security, know that the ocean is not for lease. General Electric had 3 blade failures of its turbines in 2024, which are offshore wind farms. Thousands of pieces of big fiberglass and styrofoam onto the beaches and beyond. The noise alone affects behaviors of whales and all sea life, including migratory birds. Wave action and high winds, which Kaiwi is known for, can damage wind turbines. Imagine hurricane season. Drilling into the ocean floor destroys natural habitats and pollute areas with debris. Offshore wind turbines have a lifespan of 20 to 30 years with a failure rate of 9 per year. So how and how often are they maintained? And if one fails, how is it disposed of, or do you leave it as pollution? Mahalo.
Those, you want me to answer that? Those would all be a part of the study. We would learn the lessons from what has happened out on the East Coast with respect to that situation. And we would be regulated in terms of all of the issues that you just raised by another federal agency called BESI, which is also a part of the Department of the Interior.
One moment, please. Board Member Page. We'll take turns, okay?
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. You said that HECO is going to be your customer. Is that the right
Yes.
verbiage for what you said? And since you're in the exploratory stage on all of this, what if HECO is not in existence? Who's going to be your customer?
Whoever owns the grid.
So who's that going to be? You have to have some sort of an idea. I mean, you can't be making a deal with HECO. They're about to go bankrupt. So
Yeah, we can't make a deal with HECO. We have to wait until Hawaiian Electric does a RFP for long-term projects like offshore wind, geothermal, whatever the long-term projects are.
and when are they going to do that?
According to their integrated grid plan, they are expected to do the long-term RFP sometime in 2025.
Okay, so you're waiting until next year to work a deal with them
To be able to compete in a process to be selected.
Okay,
And then you would still have all of the studies that would go.
okay.
on.
So you haven't spoken to any other electrical customer?
No, because the only entity that owns the Oahu grid is Hawaiian Electric.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, come on up.
Hi, Benito Loboy Wamanalo. Some things like Aina as Ohana, me as on construction work, I go through cultural class, yeah, because I totally against it, but you know, that's jobs for us, yeah. So my question is, how we get on to be either qualified or certified to work on this project, because this is a big project, and in 2035, it's like 10 years from now. So I heard they're coming from Delaware and this and that. So are you guys gonna pick up guys from down here to work on our projects? Because I'm totally against it, you know, but because it's Department of Defense, thing gonna go. So how we prep ourselves so we can sustain our families. You know, how you guys talking about sustainability for me as a construction worker, you know, I get on culture class, but that's going to sustain my family, you know, and a lot of the workforce, yeah. So I just wanted to know, like, how we get prep for work there.
That's a big part of what we would like to be able to do. We are going to be in discussions with the unions, with the construction companies. We are also looking at how we would work with the current offshore wind technicians and experts to see what kind of certificates and programs we could do to get ready for when we actually get it, when and if we actually get to construction, we would have a Hawaiʻi workforce that would be able to participate.
Get one card from you, or how we keep in touch with you on that? Because that's 10 years, you know what I mean? We get all our guys coming out of high school.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll
I
give
can
you my
get-
card. Yeah,
Okay, thank
when
you.
we're Paul.
Aloha Neighborhood Board and Aloha Ohana Community.
I have lived here on Oahu for about 10 years, but I also have lived on Maui for a very long time. I was part of a project that was trying to stop the wind turbine development on Maui. It's in Ma'alaya. It's not had much success. I was curious if you had looked into that project, even though it's land and yours is going to be ocean. Is there a possibility that you would look at that just to see the footprint of what has been done, the mistakes they made, the amount of deaths in native birds? Have you done studies on what the advantages have done for Maui? To my knowledge, that electric was put up on the West Maui Mountains, disturbed our views, and all that electric went to Oahu. Maui got nothing. Will your electric company take that, give it to HECO, and will they use it here? Or are they going to supply other islands beyond Hawaii? That's a two-part question. One, have you looked at them to see their errors and the mistakes because they're falling apart? Two, the second one was, where did they get sold to? And again, tagging on to Paige's question on HECO's going under, and we don't have somebody else to fall back on, and they're giving us rolling blackouts. So our concern is on the electric is who you're going into business with again. And thank you very much for your presentation. Oh, appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. I was involved with the development of Kahiawa 1 and 2. So I was part of the development team on that. And yes, I'm aware of the footprint. With respect to who it was sold to, we sold that power to Maui Electric. So the only place that electricity is going is into the Maui grid. It cannot go to Oahu because there's no inter-island cable to transport that electricity there.
I'm sorry about that, but I was led to believe there are power lines going underneath through the water over to Oahu.
I'm sorry, there's none that I'm aware of.
Then I appreciate that clarity, and I appreciate knowing that I'm wrong and you're right. Still, it's not a successful project. Would you admit that?
I would say that it provides the clean energy that is the goal for the project. With respect to the bat strikes and whether or not the habitat conservation plan was sufficient to address it, there's work to be done there.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And then the EIS studies that were done, were they completed on that project?
Yes.
And they went through with it knowing what they knew?
When we did the EISs for Kahiawa 1 and 2, it addressed all of the concerns, and we were the first wind farm company to ever do a habitat conservation plan in the country back in 2006.
Okay. Appreciate that. One last thing, and then that's it. One last thing. I'm sorry. I know you need to go. I have a video I'd like to share with you of that project. I'll meet up with you later, though. Thank you so much.
Mahalo. Tara Rojas. But before I start, this is not part of my testimony. I just want to bring to light that we are in Hawaii, and then you need to know that because when people are speaking up and it does not sound like agreeable, that does not mean you shut them down, because it's part of the ability to say what they feel. And I did hear that they did not know. I heard that you did not know. So again, it's not right when Kanaka are trying to speak up and then they get shut down for your own thinking and mindset of how things should be, that it should be polite and cordial always. Because I've seen other Kanaka being shut down in this meeting. So I want to bring this up. So Noelani, you are a military liaison. You are vice president of this company that rebranded to Aukahi from Progressive or Progression. When I asked you what if the community says no, big, solid no to military lease renewal, no is no, what then? How do we stop it? And you said, It's a process. It has to go through the process. Now, you know, we all know, as you just heard, oh, it's DOD, it's gonna go. That's disconcerting because you know where that leads, all this corruption in Hawaii. No matter the EISs, EAs that should stop things, it somehow still goes through and it becomes a binder in a library resource shelf. So I noticed you also saying you're contradicting. You're saying you're not looking for yes or no, you're not looking for input. Then why are you going to ask community on what to study? You know, come on, you are a Kanaka. You're on many boards and many cultural deans. You should know the depth of Inoa. Ka'iwi, protect iwi, leave them in place. At the culture, it should never be at the expense of Aina by the ecosystem for the benefit of a few or for profit. And finally is this. So ka'iwi, just leave it in place, do not disturb it, in addition to federally protected animals. So even just like looking at this, just doesn't that stir you? Like how can you even think of let's even think about studying this? This is disconcerting. And finally, I was gonna play in that during your meeting. Do you know why I'm doing this? Can you imagine the whales? Can you imagine the honu that we just heard about? Can you imagine all the ia? Can you imagine? That's never going to be turned off. That's never going to be turned off. Once this is built, that's it. This is never going to be turned off. And we heard Boam say there is going to be an impact. They're recorded. There is going to be a net. And if you want me to turn this off, then you need to shut this down and not even study it because that is going to keep going forever. And they are, who is in here, is supposed to be federally protected.
All right.
And this is not just for show. This is, sorry.
Okay, thank you.
No, I'm going to say this.
Judge, do you want a response? Did you
Yes,
ask
I
a
do.
question?
I want a response. And I
Okay.
just let you know, Velzy Land on the North Shore, the coral reef is dead. Because the Navy is doing their sonar. Terry Lilly, if you look him up, he has it documented. And it's because of this sonar, it killed the reef. Velzy Land coral reef is dead.
All right, thank you.
Can you answer?
Tara, thank you. With respect to the sound, that's exactly why there needs to be studies and technology and looking at whether or not technology can operate quieter. We need to take a look at that.
Tara, I think that you've made your point. You've made your point. Please pass the microphone to the next speaker. All right, thank you.
Aloha kākoa pau, mai ka piina I ka lai hai e ka la velo o lehua ono ai ki aloha. Ka lai hai ka la velo o lehua. It's Kana loa, yeah? You're Kanaka. I'm Kanaka. For that, I do respect. We have to have respect. That's what Kanaka do. But we're so far apart. And when you say Aina, I know you know our Kumulipo. Our Kumulipo is ocean, Kanaloa. It starts on the bottom. That's our kupuna. Our kupuna are watching us now. I want you to be able to go to sleep at night if you propose something like this. I'm shaking because our Kanaka are divided. And if this happens, we will have thousands of va'a and boats in our Kanaloa protecting Ka'iwi. And they're going to put Kanaka against Kanaka just like TMT on Mauna Kea.
They're going to make us fight against each other because we are the puppets. And I see you as Kika. If we go high up in our genealogy, we gotta be connected. But there's a disconnect. I need to read from the New Jersey paper on Saturday, July 13th. This was just 2024. One of the turbine blades from Vineyard Wind, an offshore wind development company, broke apart, littering the ocean with floating debris and depositing sharp fiberglass on the shoreline, prompting beach closures and warnings for beachgoers to wear footwear. The turbine blade that broke was 351 feet long, taller than the Statue of Liberty. So when it breaks and Kanaloa is littered with our kohola, with our mano, I know that they run in our blood. That's our family out there. Our Evi, our ancestors, actual ancestors are out there. Noi, I just need you to think, like, for real. When you're walking in your path and when we are walking in ours, we will be face to face, because I will put my life on Ka'ivi. My mom was one of the founders of Save Sandy Beach, to keep it pristine coastline, with my mentor, Elizabeth Riley. We cannot have this in Kanaloa. So I humbly say to you, with aloha, that we will see each other again. Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Thank you. So my name is Roger. Coalition. So can you hear me? So I just want to ask you, how do we stop this from happening? Number one. And how do you protect the whales once they strike those cables with their big fins? There's no hospitals for them to go to. And lastly, when there's a hurricane, right? Coming from mile-an-hour winds, what happens when they all get destroyed and all that all is left in the ocean? And the seals, the turtles come on the beach, all the fiberglass, you know? It doesn't make any sense.
Thank you. So the answer is, the reason why we need to do the studies is to assess that and to see if those kinds of things could be mitigated with respect to the whales, given that they are an endangered species, right? Whether or not we can do a habitat conservation plan, but taking a look at the studies, if it cannot be mitigated, if it absolutely cannot be mitigated, then when we get to the point of whether or not this project can benefit Hawaii, we need to take a look at that and make a decision.
Next question.
Aloha, my name is Anne-Marie. I'm with the Ka'ivi Coalition. First, I want to thank all the people online who didn't make it tonight, but I know there's many of you out there. I was taking notes as you were speaking. The Ka'ivi Coalition over 50 years has fought to keep Ka'ivi open and free of development. You use the word community participation process, and you're not asking us yes or no. Yet you went to the Department of Defense and didn't ask our participation. You didn't ask us yes or no. You lowered our defense. That's outrageous. A private company lowered the defense of our island. That's outrageous. The ocean is our wilderness, it's our ocean wilderness. If it starts there, believe me, it'll go around all the other islands. Why don't we have it off of Waikiki? Why not? Because the view for the tourists, you think the tourists want to look out and see wind turbines? But yet it's going to be in our backyard. I want to say, when we hear studies and we want to talk to community and have cultural work done, I've done a number of studies through the years for different cultural sites in different areas. And when an archaeologist does it, If they're hired by the company, many times it's skewed to match the developer. And the mitigation that happens is the mitigation of our culture in our precious sites. I don't have a question for you. I have a question for the audience. Many of you I've known for decades, and on the screen too. But my question is to the community. Do we want air turbines in the Kaiwi coastline? Do we want it anywhere in our islands? We support alternative energy, but we don't support this. So again, I don't have a question for you, but thank you for letting me to ask a question of our community, because these are the people that we're going to have to live with this, and we need to stop it now. That means going to the Department of Defense and having them raise the level back up to red, because that will shut everything down. So we need our help of Representative Ward and our congressional team. Thank you.
Okay. 5 more minutes or so. We have about 3 hands online. And so 1, 2, 3. Paige first, go ahead. Oh, and Paige, then Sam.
Thank you. So you keep reiterating that every time somebody brings up an issue, and this has been pretty consistent with all the meetings that you've been going to, your response is that that is something we have to mitigate. That is something we have to study. That is something we have to look at. That is something we have to decide if that's going to be able to be mitigated so that we can move forward, or if we're going to move forward. And I understand what you're saying, but it sounds to me like you already know this is going to impact the environment. Don't look like that, because you know this is going to impact the environment. Everybody breathing on this planet and in this state knows that this is going to impact the environment and the animals and the wind and everything else. We also know that when the next hurricane hits, that these are going to get destroyed. They're not going to be able to survive hurricane winds. So my question to you is when you say we have to mitigate how this is going to impact the whales, let's just take that. What it sounds to me like you're saying, and please tell me if I'm wrong, is that we're going to do a study and we're going to find out just how much impact we can make to the whales and this project. That's what it sounds like to me. If that's not right, then I want you to correct that. But that's exactly what it sounds like. It sounds like you're saying we're going to get to a point where we study, well, they're going to be impacted, but we're going to make so much bloody money off this project that
Paige, let her answer the question.
This is the question. It's worth more to us to do this project than it is to figure out how bad we're going to impact the environment. So please tell me if I'm right or wrong on this.
If there is going to be impact, right? We have to study how much impact. And it's not just an economic evaluation, right? We're looking at clean energy against the impact of warming of the ocean, against the impact of sea level rise and all of that. And that entire comprehensive view needs to be taken. Now, if the studies show that the impact to the animals, that the impact to the environment is such that it outweighs any of the benefits of the projects, in addition to us saying no, the regulatory and permitting agencies will say no.
Then who decides?
Okay, hold on, Paige, that's enough. No, Paige.
Question, who decides when that impact is too much?
I think it's a comprehensive, it can be the developer. It can be if the developer decides to step down. It also can be the permitting agencies if the developer decides not to step down. It can be a federal agency that says this cannot be mitigated, no go. It can also be, so.
All right, next question, Sam, and then the lady in line. Okay.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for coming to the community and presenting on this. I know it's got be difficult for you, and you certainly have a lot of courage. I share the same concerns as many people in the community when it comes to the environmental impacts, especially to the native endangered wildlife that exists in the oceans and in the air. I also have a lot of concerns with the way that our current energy system works, the fact of how reliant we are on imported fossil fuels. If any of the community members know about the Exxon Valdez, we do not want that to happen here in Hawaii. Every single day, ships are coming in full of oil that we use to power these very same lights. We were chopping off the tops of mountains for coal to power the power plants until that was recently shut down. This island is not operating sustainably as it is. And if we do not find other alternatives to the way that we power our lives and power our vehicles, we are going to continue to be polluting in a way that is not pono. That is not the way that we should be in a land that is rich with so many resources that we now know how to utilize. So it needs to be studied. We need to understand the full ramifications of the impacts. And I want the community to take this same passion and look at the current system that's in place that's charging us 46 cents a kilowatt hour, the highest rate in the nation, for our electric bills. And let's try to find a way where we can sustainably power ourselves at a much lower cost and live the same quality way as well. Yeah.
Okay, next person, come on
Thank you,
up.
Chair. Noy, I just commend you for coming out to the community. I know it's not hard it's difficult to stand here and present your case here. I just want to make a few comments and then ask a question, Chair. Noy, I am, fourth generation Native Hawaiian. The site you guys are looking at is, in this Kaiwi channel. And I just want to make a few comments. The Native Hawaiians use the ocean as their icebox. You know that. And many of the Native Hawaiian community members are laid to rest out in the ocean. And so I'm in total opposition of your project out in our one icebox and then burying our iwi kupuna out there. But my question is, you talked earlier about having other alternative energy options. Has that been shared with community? Because I've only heard this wind turbine and I think more engagement in that level, because I know alternative energy is important to be sustainable. But I haven't heard from you folks about talking about what that other options are. And I think that should be shared with community also. Mahalo.
Thank you. When I was talking, we are an offshore wind farm company. So our primary technology is offshore wind. But in looking at benefits, in looking at how might we help community to meet clean energy goals, period, right? In the community participation process, it can be everything from how do we help everybody put solar on rooftops? I mean, there are many different opportunities to help and ensure that everyone can participate in the transformation for clean energy. And we support all of the energy technologies. It's not only offshore wind or only solar. I will say, as a Hawaiian and as a Hawaii resident, we need to be looking at everything that we can to address our clean energy future.
Okay, last comment from our local audience. Come on up. State your question.
When you keep using your studies as an excuse. When you say you're gonna study to make it quieter, you say you're gonna study, but you keep using mostly the word that I keep hearing from you is your studies, which is mostly an excuse that you keep on using.
Well, I'm sorry that it's being interpreted as an excuse. Studies and data are important for us to be able to make informed decisions, but thank you.
All right, we're going to be allowing the online audience to ask their questions. We're done with the audience here. So Gary Weller. Gary, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. It's been a while since I talked to you wonderful people in Hawaiʻi. I don't know if the lady in front of you was aware that in Waimanalo, we had close to 650 people and they all said no windmills in the ocean. I'll start. I have 6 questions. 1, if these windmills are approved all the way across this whole insane process, what do you think would be a good idea for end of life? Like cemeteries, every time that somebody goes into a grave, part of their money goes into an annuity to tear the whole thing down at the end. Because here in Hawaii, most of the windmill companies, as the windmills get old, they declare bankruptcy and leave a mess on our island. So I want you to think about an annuity with the state, and any lease from Bowman, which I've suggested to them, would have a fund that you cannot touch, the federal government can't touch, the state can't touch until the time of life ends, and then that money is used to take the windmills back out of the ocean. This meeting that you had with the DOE where they changed everything, are there minute notes, any PDF files, anything that happened at that meeting that are available to the public? That's the next question. If you want to answer that now, or do you want me to read all the questions first?
Go ahead and pause, Gary. Let Noelani respond.
No, there are no public minutes for those discussions.
They were not public meetings?
No.
So the Pentagon held private meetings with a private company over putting windmills in our ocean over here to lower our defenses.
No, it's a DoD siting clearinghouse process. If you go to the website for the DoD siting clearinghouse, you can see what the process is. You file a permit with the FAA. They forward that to the DoD siting clearinghouse. The DoD siting clearinghouse then identifies the military units within the jurisdiction. They call a task force together, and then you engage in discussions about what potentially can be done to mitigate the impact of a floating offshore wind farm. It's done for every technology, and it's available to every developer nationally.
So with the threat in the Pacific so high now, this was a decision that the Pentagon made independently of pressure from the state government, the administration in Washington, all for this alternate energy. You don't have to answer that. I'm just saying that's a statement. Okay. We are the highest electricity in the nation. Why Hawaii? Why are you picking us when there's so many other places that you can experiment with before you come here to this pristine island with beautiful oceans all the way around it? Our #1 business is tourism. And the last place in the entire world that anybody wants to see windmills in the ocean, it would be here. So there's tons of other places, Florida, Texas, the Gulf Coast, all over the place that you could have picked, but you picked here in Hawaii. Why?
Because of the items I said in the beginning, for Oahu to reach the 100% RPS, floating offshore wind is one of the technologies to be considered given its robust offshore resource.
I have just finished reading a study that everybody in Hawaii should read. We put more carbon into the air than anywhere in the United States. You want to know why? Tourism. It has to do with the ships that come over here, the planes that land over here. They have to be refueled over here. But you know what? If I had a magic wand and I could say tomorrow, no more tourists, no more hotels, guess what? It wouldn't change climate change in the world, not even a 1/1000% because we are such a small impact on the world that all this stuff to put Hawaii with alternate energy makes absolutely no sense. And this was a state report, and it was brought into the news back when Laura Thielen was up there at the Capitol around 2006. And probably one of the reasons she left government service and went to work for Parks and Recreation. Next, how are you going to protect these windmills from tsunamis? Our shores over here are tsunami prone. One of the places that the great tsunami that hit Hilo hit us was Makapu Point. There's evidence there that the waves went over the mountains over there. So in other words, your windmills would be like in some disaster movie where The Rock and other stars are running around trying to save people from windmill blades. I'm very concerned about tsunamis. And the last thing is that you mentioned something about, let's see here, there was a original study or that national security area was done in 2017. Is there actually a document involved with that?
There's a map that was issued by the Department of Defense called the Mission Incompatibility Map. And you can, I think, get it from the BOEM Hawaii website. If not, I will be glad to share it with Chair Major and she can share it.
Thank you very much.
All right, the next hand up, Aupuhi. Is that you? I'm glad you made it.
Hi, everybody. My name is Avapuhi Kalauli Robinson. I actually went to the BOEM meeting, so I just want to share with everybody that I had talked about what kupuna is. So they're trying to make a statement that, you know, aina is ohana, wrong word. Aina is kupuna, okay? Kupuna is our ancestor, that's our blood lineal line that explains who we are and what stands for a Kanaka Oiwi, a Kanaka Maoli, including the people who make this place home, okay? The ocean is what takes care of us. It's what feeds our family. It's what feeds everybody in this room. Now, my question is, we're talking about alternative energy. One of the things that was mentioned is that we need to focus because we're using petroleum, we're doing this. The BOEM director said in the meeting, by 2046, we will still be reliant on petroleum. So that's correct. So all of this windmill, everything, alternative energy, it's a lie, okay? It's a lie. Because they already confirmed 20 minutes into their BOEM meeting that we will continue to be reliant on petroleum-based energy. So it doesn't matter how many electric vehicles you get on this island. It doesn't matter how many power stations you have. It doesn't matter how many windmills you damage our ecosystem with. We will still have to use petroleum, okay? So my question is, if this wind farm that you guys have researched, and she's mentioned that she's worked with other wind farms and they're aware of the impacts of the wind farms, how many more of these projects will you be planning? That's question one.
This is the only one we are planning for offshore wind for Hawaii.
Okay, so you hear that, right? This is the only one, but it's a lie too because they started at Ka'ena. They're going from community to community to community. They're trying to placate everybody and enjoy your Tesla and tell you guys that, you know what, we're going to reach green energy. It's a lie, everybody. It's a lie. The Hawaiian Electric, so let's go deep into it. Hawaiian Electric was by the Kingdom of Hawaii. It was taken over by the Big Five. You know who pays everybody's paycheck? HGEA. First Hawaiian Bank and Bank of Hawaii. You know who they are? That's Bishop Trust Companies. You can pull their ledger. They are part of the SEC. Everybody in Hawaii should know this. The people who are charging you, Hawaiian Electric, pay your politicians. And I'm not claiming corruption, I'm claiming facts. You can pull the SEC filings, they have to do an annual report. No, I'm just stating for the crowd because you guys like interrupt everybody and lie to them. So I'm going to tell them the truth. This is the truth. Okay? If First Hawaiian Bank and Bank of Hawaii pay your politicians, guess who else they pay? The people who want to put the wind farm. Did you know that their company, Aukahi, changed their name? It used to be known as Hawaii Offshore Company. It's a foreign LLC claim in Delaware. Tell me I'm wrong. Okay, it's in Delaware. You know who else is in Delaware? Obama's Windward Paradise LLC, which is on Lunalilo, stolen lands. That is a Delaware foreign entity. You know who else is? First Hawaiian Bank. First Hawaiian Bank is a Delaware LLC. So what you guys have to understand is this is their playground. They're coming to Hawaii because it's easy. You know why it's easy? Because they keep telling the Kanaka, we don't own royal patents. We don't have a kupuna. They keep bringing everybody here claiming that the Kanaka hate you. We don't hate you. We feel sorry because we know the truth and we keep trying to come to these meetings and try to share. They're bringing you here, enticing you with our beaches, but they're lying to all of you. They want you to support the electric. This grid can't handle it. They already said it. The electric cannot handle it because that thing came from 1893. You know how old Hawaiian Electric is? Hawaiian Electric was developed in order to put electricity in Iolani Palace. That's how old it is.
Okay. Ahapui, could you please bring your comments to a close?
Yes, I will bring it to a close. Mahalo, because you like to interrupt everybody. So what I'm trying to share with you all, okay? I'm trying to share with you all. This isn't the first meeting. You talked about other people who went to the Waimanalo meeting. They didn't let nobody talk. Okay, I went to the BOA meeting. They asked me who's kupuna. So that's why I find it hilarious that it says, oh, Aina is Ohana. Wrong. Aina is kupuna. In addition to that, the Kanaka that stand today, we do not hate Haole. We are trying to help you understand what has been done in this Aina illegally here because it affects every single person. All of us is sick from Red Hill. Nobody even realizes it. We're sick from Red Hill. We're sick from this electric ideas, these wind farm ideas, solar farms all over where we can have food sustainability. Wouldn't you prefer to have the ships stop and have the food be made here? So then why is there a solar farm that's owned by a San Diego company? Probably her friends, who knows? I don't mean, I know you're a nice person, but I'm just making comments, sorry. But I'm just sharing with you folks that we have solar farms going up and you guys don't benefit anybody's electric bill less. I don't think so. It's the highest in the country. That's correct. That's what the gentleman had mentioned.
we have
Highest in the
other
country.
people who
Yeah,
want
you
to
can wait
speak.
because we have to wait and listen to your heva. So you can wait too. So the point I'm making is we as a community, all of us, we are the people, not them. We are the people. We must stand together. Your Kanaka, you know what we have? We have the patents. Support your Kanaka and proving that the patents are real because they're in your TMK. And I told this to all of the feds.
All right, I'm
That's not
calling
the
a
feds.
recess.
Who is she? She's nobody.
Speaker online, okay? Meeting is called back to order.
Is that me, Madam
We
Chair?
have a speaker online, Representative Jean Ward. You wanted to make a comment or
Okay.
ask a question?
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you, Madam Chair. Noi, thank you for coming and facing the people of Hawaii Kai. But my question is from Waimanalo. I was told that in that meeting,
Representative Ward, your video is not on.
start video, stop video.
Just go ahead and continue then.
Okay, somehow my starting video it must be this look on my face. Short of the pitchforks and the torches in Waimanalo, one of the things that I heard as a result of that meeting was that there basically are no off-ramps, meaning that once the process starts, it's a done deal. Now, I think earlier when you talked to Paige, you said, well, there could be a permit that could knock it out, etc. So was there something in Waimanalo that was misunderstood? When the process starts, it goes through to finish, and there's not an off ramp. Or what are the off ramps? If you could repeat what you had said earlier, because I'm very concerned about governance and the model of how the democratic process works, whether it's federal, local, state, etc.
Okay, I'm not from BOEM, but my understanding, having studied the process, is that the first part is a planning and leasing phase where they plan and they identify the areas to lease, right? And that's why in my slide deck, I said, while we have proactively identified a project site, they have not yet determined if that's something that that's an area that they would want to lease. We want them to. I'm going to be very candid and clear. Two, when they do the environmental review of prior to the lease, if they in that process they cannot be satisfied that if there's too much of an impact, then the answer is they can't go forward with the lease, right? If that leasing process happens and then there's something called, the next phase is called a site assessment plan. That's an up to 5-year environmental review and permitting process. If in that process, the permits cannot be received or there is impact that is too large to be able to, for the federal government, the state and or the developer to say, we go forward, then the project doesn't move forward. The next phase is a construction operations plan. That's what the construction plan would be. That also has to go through a stringent environmental review process. And that's just the federal level. At the state level, all of the Chapter 343 environmental studies also need to be complied with. So in terms of quote off-ramps, if there is a permit that cannot be achieved, the project cannot move forward.
All right. Is that your question, Representative Ward? Can I move on?
One bit, because that is very clear as to what is an EPA and other permits. But what have you left out and conspicuously absent is what of the people who are the inhabitants of those areas of which this place is going to be put? Where does that, is there an off ramp given the public opinion that you've heard in Waimanalo, that you've heard tonight, and that you're likely going to hear in other places?
Yes, I think that as developers, when we have all of the information and can present it, and if that is still the sentiment, then we as developers have to make a very clear decision as to whether or not we want to move forward. I've been a part of other projects where we have decided not to move forward. And then in addition, we all know how much community input impacts all of the permitting processes in Hawaii with respect to the Board of Land and Natural Resources, with respect to all of the boards. And that is one of the strengths of Hawaii, right? Which is why I said we welcome the input and the ability to work with everyone. So in terms of the inhabitants and the processes, that's where it's the difference.
But no, have you just said that it's up to you whether the project stops, not the people? Didn't you just say that?
No, I
You are the
said
ones who will say go or no go.
we would, based on the input from the people, we would say as developers whether or not it's worth us moving forward or not. Once we have the studies and the information, that we're just one. I'm also saying the permitting agencies could also say the community opposition is too great, we're not going to do this.
And national defense is another issue. And I'll be working with the congressional delegation to make sure the congressional delegation case was not aware of the situation. They are aware. We are working with them. This is a pretty big deal, and I think we need to go beyond just the neighborhood board and kind of a process. But thank you very much for appearing before the people of Hawaii.
Okay, board
you, Chair.
members. I had closed comments. Do you have a 30-second quick comment? Quickly, please.
Hi.
My first question is, why did the Kaena one get shut down?
The Kaena proposal was an unsolicited bid from 2016, and that was a different company.
So you guys had nothing to do
No.
with that one?
Our company proposed, we also did an unsolicited bid on the south side of Oahu.
Okay, and what happened with that one?
That one was determined to be mission incompatible with respect to DOD.
Okay, my second question is, are you guys interested in other alternative sustainable energy or only the wind turbines?
I think as a company, we are focused on the offshore wind technology and seeing how far we can go with that. Many of us as individuals on the team are also supportive and involved in other technologies as well.
Is that decision based on your relationship with that Delaware company or no, the Jersey company? I'm sorry, the Jersey company. What are they, EDF? Is that what you
EDF
said?
Renewables, they're actually based in San Diego. They have a project in New Jersey.
So your guys' interest in this wind farm is because of your affiliation with them?
No, our interest in the wind farm, and I can only speak for me as a member of this team, is in looking at what are all of the opportunities for Hawaii to move forward in clean energy.
So my question now is, does EDF pay your guys' paychecks?
Yes.
So your contract with them is contingent on this thing happening?
Whether or not we move forward is a decision that they'll have to make. For now, as we're doing the studies, they're paying us to do the studies.
So are some of the monies that you've already received or stand to receive is because they're hoping that this thing goes through?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Board members, I'm going to give you an opportunity to make last comments, and we're going to move on from this issue. Elizabeth and then Lisa.
I just wanted to make a general public statement that this is only a tool in the state's alternate energy toolbox. It is not a done deal. And we can petition the governor to recognize that this is not suited for Hawaii. And I recommend that this is the direction in which we move, because we don't want to go through the, with all due respect, we don't want future generations to go through this. So if we fend it off Kaiwi as they did Kaena, it's going to go somewhere else, somewhere else, somewhere else. This is ill-fitted for the state of Hawaii. So it either gets on the ballot and the people get to voice their opinion, or the governor steps up and recognizes that we could put our time, effort, and energy into simple things like efficiency. Look up what the word means. There are many things that we could do at the level of efficiency. And I'm going to stop right there. Thank you so much.
Yes, I have a couple of comments to make. In answer to Rep. Ward's question, it was very clear at the Waimanalo briefing by BOEM that community input would have no chance of stopping the process. I was there and I heard them say communities could submit inputs and they could say, we don't want wind farms in Kaiwi, and it would be annotated, it would be included as a footnote, if you will, to the process, but the process would continue. So the community that would be most affected by having wind farms in the Kaiwi area would have no way to stop the process, because the process would continue. And that was my very clear reading of what BOEM said during that meeting. Number one. Number two, we're, I think, at a crossroads where we have national security, cultural and environmental and even economic influences saying that this is not the right solution for Hawaii. We don't want to exploit and commercialize our ocean wilderness for this particular technology at this time or even 10 years from now. I think we have better renewable energy resources Now, offshore wind may be great for other parts of our country, but at this point in time, maybe not for Hawaii and certainly not for our ocean wildernesses. So those are my thoughts at this point in time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jean, Jean, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of angst tonight about a potential solution that's being laid on the table for discussion. And attacking this poor woman for bringing this issue to us is despicable. Yes, people attacked her. People attacked her.
Hold on, Jean, I'm,
All right.
okay,
So
quiet. Let's call this to order.
how
Come on.
how many of you drove your vehicle to this meeting tonight? Right?
All right, hold on.
We,
Hold on.
There won't be any honu. There won't be any coral reefs. There won't be any beaches left unless we address the problem. I'm not saying this is the solution. I'm not saying this is the solution.
All right, people, we don't have to fight about this issue. There's a lot of tempers raised. Quiet.
We all listen to you, so you can listen to me for a minute
Yes.
or two.
Jean
okay?
I did recognize Jean. Please let him speak.
Thank you. We've got to address the problem somehow. And I'm not saying this is the necessary solution, right? But I think we should listen and consider the merits and the demerits of all the possible solutions. Maybe offshore wind isn't the right one. I don't know. And I have not heard enough to make a decision about whether offshore wind is right for the particular place that this company would like to put their windmills or someplace else on Oahu, around Oahu. There may be better choices, or maybe none of them are good choices.
All right, Jean, bring your comments to close.
Right? So I would just ask everybody to be more open and interested in having a discussion rather than a fight.
All right. No. All right, Malia, please, Malia. We don't have to fight. We don't have to fight here. Okay, Noelani, I would like to thank you very much for coming tonight to make this informative presentation. I'm not sure that the board is ready to take a position. We may be, but I'll be asking that of them. But I want to thank you very much for coming out and sharing your ideas with the community. We needed to know more about what this project would look like if it were to proceed. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
All right. Board members, I'd like to ask you whether you would like to consider taking a position at this time, or would you like to defer this, or would you like me to consider to draft a resolution and bring it back for your consideration? Elizabeth?
I would prefer to write a letter to the governor and see what we could do to discuss efficiency, or then look at putting this on the ballot so that the people of Hawaii can vote on it. So that's just my first reaction at this moment.
I support that. I second that motion.
All right, we have one suggestion, that we send a letter to the governor asking that we pursue other alternative kinds of resources for energy, for hitting our energy goal. All right, I can certainly draft something and bring it back. There's no hurry that we have to do it right away, but so I'll bring it back to the next meeting. I'll put it on the agenda under board business. Okay. All right, sure. We're going to be moving on. Our next presenter is Hawaiʻi Kai Mile. Our presenter is Michael Garrison. He's the owner of Hawaiʻi Running Lab. Michael, thank you for coming to join us tonight.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson and Board. And anybody who would like to stay, I'd love to chat. Yes, a little taller than Lonnie there. With all this energy, I'd like to invite everybody to go for a run. I'm here to talk about a brand new event we want to bring to Hawaii Kai. My name is Michael Garrison. I own Hawaii Running Lab. I'm a local businessman and a running coach. And recently we have started, I also have 2 young daughters at Cocoa Head Elementary, and we have started an elementary school running class there, which we're hoping to bring to the rest of the Kaiser Complex elementary schools. This is our first one. We're figuring it out and making sure we get it done right for them, and then we'll hope to expand it. The idea for this mile, so the Hawaii Kai Mile, sprouted with my attendance at the Hawaii Kai Holiday Parade, right? So it goes from the skate park right by my house and into the Cocoa Marina Shopping Center. Where I grew up, there were a lot of road miles. So it's a running race, walking event, something to get the community out, be active, things like that. So that's where this sprouted. And as we started to develop the kids class, I felt like a mile would be a great thing that the kids could work toward, members of our community can work toward. It falls roughly 3 weeks in front of the Kiwi Coast Run. And then that would be about 6 weeks before the Honolulu Marathon. I understand both of those impact East Oahu here. Our proposed course would start roughly around the Hawaii Kai Skate Park and finish at Kaiser High School. We've secured with Kaiser High School use of their parking lot in the field right there in front of the school. We're working with HPD and with DTS to figure out our exact mile, where the mile is going to be exactly, whether or not to start on the Mauka side where the skate park parking lot is on that side of the intersection, or move it a little bit closer to Kaiser High School. Since it's a mile, it's just straight, it's down one road. We're following guidance from HPD and DTS as far as road closure goes. We're expecting in our first year to have roughly 200 to 300 entrants. So with that, we're thinking from a lane footprint standpoint, most of that road has, 4 lanes total for traffic, and then on each side. We would look to, in all likelihood, close 1 traffic lane on the Kaiser High School side, in addition to the bike lane for that whole mile. There's no parking that's affected there. We're planning on having HPD at every intersection, which we believe is what HPD is going to suggest anyway. And that meeting is still to come. I just wanted to present the information here to the community. As soon as we have the registration site built, it's in the process of being built. I'd love to come back and share that link and a little more information at the next meeting. I appreciate the time to come and chat with you guys today, even though it was a super feisty night. Got to learn some things. I think I covered just about everything on my form. The board has information. I also have some papers on the table here at the entrance that has our course map, where our proposed start and finish are, and where we're hoping to have police located. We're looking at a entry fee as a first year event, trying to figure out the budgeting for example, GP roadways, HPD, all these things. We're trying to have the cost of what our kids races would be. We're going to have small age groups for kids, like roughly 3 to 4 years. That's going to be roughly about $25 is what we're estimating right now. And then adults that sign up in September would be 35, active duty military would be 30. And then when we get to October, those will bump by $5.
All right, questions for Michael from board members? Yes, Paige.
Hi, Michael. Thank you for your presentation. So I think a mile event is good. I don't know why you can't use the Kaiser track. It is a quarter mile. You just need to go around 4 times. There's your mile.
Mm-hmm.
There's no bike lane on Lula Home Road, by the way. So shutting down a lane and a bike lane is non-existent. And then the other issue that I have, and this isn't, you're part of this, but this is sort of, you're sort of the icing on the cake for me, that I have friends that live in Waikiki, and every single week there's a bike race or a walking race or a parade or a running race, or the streets are shut down for something, a parade or a event of some kind. And Hawaii Kai is getting that. It's just constant. It's always going to be every weekend. There was a race last weekend that we knew nothing about. Kalama Valley roads were all shut down and detoured and cones everywhere. And I wasn't told about that. I had constituents calling me saying, what the heck's going on in Kalama Valley on Sunday? And the more that it happens, the more it's going to happen. The more we have people who say, well, it's just a mile, or it's just 3 miles, or it's just around Hawaiʻi Kai, or it's just from Sandy Beach to Mauna Lua Bay. And we want to do it every year. And then we've got somebody else who comes up and says, well, this is for the kids, and we want to do it every year. Personally, for me, it's getting a little old. I don't want to live in Waikiki where the roads are shut down every single weekend because there's a race or a bike or a run or a walk or kids. I'm at my end with it, I think. This is just about. So I guess my first question to you is, why can't you use the Kaiser track? It's a mile.
Sure.
You can use the Kaiser track and it's right there and you don't impact traffic and there's tons of parking and not a problem.
Would you like that answer first, or do you want me?
No, because the rest that's fine, because the rest isn't a question. It's just sort of a comment that I have that I think it's excessive. It's just one more race in Hawaii. It's one more road being shut down. So thank you.
Okay.
I mean, I like the idea, but yeah.
Oh, so why not use the track? The track is designed as an 8-lane track. So the only people that are actually running a mile are running in lane 1, first and foremost. So having 200 to 300 people potentially scaling this on a track is going to be not only unsafe, most people aren't going to actually run the mile, right? So if we line up everybody, let's say each person takes roughly 3 meters. How many people can you run around the track at once? And are they actually racing? So at the Olympics that just happened, the final, say for the 1,500 meters, which is roughly a mile, had 15 people. So 15 people at one time, that would, let's say we have 300 people. I'm going to go on a limb and say that's most of the day. We're probably not going to have a successful
I
event.
really didn't expect you to get that detailed, but
Okay. Well, I will.
That's fine. I mean, you're expecting 300 people and you're going to shut down Luna Lila Home Road. I
No,
mean,
we're going to shut down one lane of Luna Lila Road.
with 300 people?
Yes, that's the plan.
Okay.
Yeah, we can actually run that in heats.
Well, it's actually going to be running about 3 minutes because you're going to have people that literally run a 3-minute mile doing their 4-minute mile running this race. I mean,
If we had somebody run a 4-minute road mile, that would actually break the world record. Okay. I'm merely just here to provide information.
I'm saying you've got people that are going to be done with this race in 5 or 10 minutes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as soon as the event is done, as soon as our, let's say with our start at the intersection, as soon as our last people start, like we don't intend to close Hawaiʻi Kai Drive, Luna Lila Home Road for 2 hours. We plan on stopping traffic if we start on the skate park side, stopping traffic for maybe 2 minutes per heat, right? They start, they go across, traffic can go through. If we have a second heat that comes up, stop the traffic, let the people run through. When everybody's done crossing that intersection, we can start picking up cones. That would be great. I love the idea. It's a little too close to the Kaiwi Coast Run. So what we don't want to do is take anybody away from that event.
Okay, we have a question from someone on board, online. Joseph, go ahead, Joseph, with your question.
Yeah, I don't know if more of a question, but I mean, he's coming to us with an idea for a run, and nowhere in any of our language or bylaws do we have a limit on how many runs we're allowed to have. He's bringing an idea. He sees it in Hawaiʻi Kai. What's stopping his race versus other races? So I don't have a problem with it at all. I also don't have a problem with the Kalama Valley traffic this last weekend. Yeah, there were signs up. Maybe it wasn't communicated very well, but as a resident who passed and drove through the cones 3 times, I wasn't stopped once. I wasn't slowed down once. There was no impeding. In fact, I'm excited to see our community engaging and partaking in these type of events. So I don't know the inconvenience that it's causing in one lane for a couple of hours. Again, I don't know the grand scheme of the impacts, but until we put language in place or some sort of regulation behind it, they're going to keep coming to us. So I don't think we attack this race. We want to look at the big picture and what we're trying to solve, or the problem of multiple races, put some language around it. But I don't think we can just shut down this one and then be okay with the next one.
I didn't ask him to shut down the race. Just for your information.
All right, Michael, thank you very much for coming tonight and sharing this information with us.
Perfect.
Good luck on your permitting process.
Thank you. Yes, working through that. I appreciate everybody's time. And I'll try to stop by whatever, September 24th and use the early 2 minutes just to say, hey, here's the website.
All right,
And
great.
thank you so much. I
Do
appreciate
you,
it.
do you get a t-shirt?
We should have the website up in the next 10 days.
All right, thank you. We're
do
going to
you-
be moving on very quickly.
they get a
to
t-shirt?
Officials reports.
Did they get a t-shirt?
We were trying to keep the registration low. We'll have t-shirt or a race hat purchase as an option, just at the cost that we pay.
All right, board members, we have 30 minutes to get through the rest of our agenda, so we're going to be going very quickly. With our officials reports, I may defer a lot of the items under board business until later, next meeting. We're going to start with Mayor Rick Blangiardi's representative, Amy Asselby. Amy, you're online. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you, Chair, Mayor, and neighborhood board members. I have 3 follow-ups from last board meeting. The first one was a question to the Department of Parks and Recreation with regard to their tickets, I guess, for the Foster Botanical Gardens event. And there was a question about the information that was asked for registration. So DPR said, please accept our apologies for the inconvenience. The online ticketing system used for the Midsummer's Night's Gleam included fields for your doctor's name and an emergency contact. These fields were optional information and not required to make a reservation. It did cause confusion as the fields were not clearly marked as optional. They will be removed entirely from the platform for this event going forward. I hope that is helpful. I think they have that in there for people who participate in physical activity events or children. Okay. So the next question was for the Department of Enterprise Services and the Department of Design and Construction regarding a future presentation on Cocoa Head Stables. So the Department of Design and Construction followed up and said that their project for the relocation and replacement of the existing water line servicing the stables, botanical gardens, and Sandy Beach is currently in the planning phase. The Department of Parks and Recreation is planning to allocate the funds in a future design budget. The Department of Design and Construction anticipates completion of the water line in 2025. DDC is currently not involved on any other design or construction projects for these facilities. The Department of Enterprise Services says that they will be able to provide a quarterly report through me to the neighborhood board so we can stay on top of improvements that are being planned for Cocoa Head Stables. So hopefully that responds to the request that we have more regular updates. And if quarterly updates will work, or I hope that quarterly updates will work as proposed by DES. The final response is with regard to proposed cell company towers and sites in the community. So this is a little bit long, but this is what the Department of Planning and Permitting responded. Cell company towers or sites are utility installations for zoning purposes, and they are categorized as either type A or type B in the revised ordinances of Honolulu. They note table 21-3. And I can share this information with the chair to distribute to members if interested. Type A utility installations are those with minor impact and include telecommunications antennas that are not freestanding, for example, attached to an existing structure. These are permitted in all zoning districts and in certain zoning districts are subject to additional regulations. Type B utility installations, by virtue of their appearance, noise, size, traffic generation, or other relevant characteristics, require a minor conditional use permit, a CUP, in all zoning districts. And type B utility installations include freestanding antenna structures. So for all freestanding antenna projects, the applicant must present the project to the appropriate neighborhood board prior to applying for their conditional use permit. The Department of Planning and Permitting checks that this prerequisite has been met before they will accept a CUP application for processing. Regarding the leasing of city sites and the provision of power, the Department of Facilities Maintenance may be better able to respond. These utility installations are not treated as public uses and must go through the same process regarding notification and neighborhood board presentation when they are considered a type B facility. So I hope that helps. There are two types of installations. In other words, one is not a freestanding communications device, and they're permitted in all zoning districts, subject to additional regulations in some. And type B are freestanding antenna, and they do require that the neighborhood board be given a presentation prior to an application for their conditional use permit. So I hope that helps answer the question about if they're regulated and if they need to come before the neighborhood board for input. And that is my report.
Thank you, Amy. Are there questions for the mayor's representative? Sam?
Thank you, Amy, for the report. We heard an impassioned testimony earlier from a gentleman whose daughter goes to Hawaiʻi Elementary. He has a lot of concerns about speeding. It's not the first time that we've heard this. Can we get an answer from DTS on what we can do in regards to speed humps in front of this, not just Hawaiʻi Elementary, but other elementary schools?
In a previous report, it may have even been last month, and I will forward this to Chair Mayor. They were going to conduct an assessment by Hawaiʻi Elementary School from previous just unsafe conditions on the road around the school that were raised in the neighborhood board meeting. So let me make sure that that is still forthcoming because we haven't received the results from that study. And I'll make sure that you get the information about when it will or was conducted and the results, if it was.
Thank you. We had a lot of swift action from HDOT on the Kalaniana Ole in front of the Port Line entrance. So I would hope we can get as swift of action from DTS on this.
Me too. Thanks.
Any other questions for the mayor's representative? Oh, Ilse?
I just wanted to bring up because there was the concern about light pollution that the Cocoa Head District Park has extremely bright lights and they are on in the evenings. I am not sure and I'm quite in doubt they're on only for the games, but they're definitely very, very bright and tall and they're over, I can't tell you which field. But it would be good to check and hopefully they can only be used when there is a game in session.
So what do you want me to ask exactly?
When those floodlights are on, if they're on every evening between until 10 p.m. or if they're on only during the games. And preferably they would be on during the games in view of the seabirds and other, we just heard today about the wildlife being disturbed by light pollution in South Oahu.
Got it. Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Sam?
There's a homeless individual who stays a lot at the Pico Drive bus station, corner of Kalaniana Ole and Pico Drive. There's a literal mountain of trash in the bushes behind that bus stop. There is no trash can at that bus stop. Other bus stops do have a trash can. Can either Department of Facilities Maintenance or ENV look at getting a trash can there, but also cleaning up this mountain of trash that this one individual has created?
Okay, can you, other than Pico Drive, is there any further clarifying information where this bus stop is?
Heading towards town, heading towards Diamond Head on Kalaniana Ole. That'd be the Pico Drive, Kalaniana Ole. Heading west or north.
Near New Valley Shopping Center.
All right, anything else?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Amy, for your report. Oh, and we have a hand up online. Rachel, are you there? Do you have a question for the mayor's representative?
Yes, I do. I heard you mention something about the Cocoa Head stables, so I had a couple of questions. Are they paying their rent or whatever up there?
There is a contractor who, won the contract, so I have no information about that.
Oh, yeah, so I'm just wondering if they're paying, because they're under the contract, they were supposed to pay a certain amount, you know, monthly or whatever it was, and I was wondering if they're paying because they don't seem to be quite open to the public, and so I was just curious if the halt on them not being open to the public has to do with some kind of funding that didn't go through, and so I've been told that they've been withholding their monthly rent, or because the facilities is unsafe.
I will check on that issue and try to get back to you next month.
And
All right, and Paige has something to add to that.
Amy, hi, sorry. I don't mean to interrupt your report time. I spoke to this lady online and I let her know that the stables are in compliance with their Department of Enterprise Services. I don't know what makes you think that they're closed to the public, because they're not closed to the public. I don't know who told you that or where you learned that. I gave you the phone number and the website to go to contact Kim Hollinsworth, who's the owner up there of Aloha Riding Stables. And if you haven't contacted her, then you wouldn't know that the stables are open. If you haven't been up there, you wouldn't know that the stables are open, but they are. They are open to the public. They're not open at midnight, but if you go during the day, they are open to the public. You might want to contact her directly and find out what their exact hours are.
I haven't spoken to you before, so I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm more concerned about it being open for the public, if they're paying the amount that they're supposed to be paying up there, which you're not answering that question about it. And how long is, my second question was going to be how long the contract is.
I think that you need to contact Kim Hollinsworth at Aloha Riding Lessons and talk with her directly. They are open to the public. And their contract with the Department of Enterprise Services is their contract with Enterprise Services. I can't speak to that.
I know you can, but I'm not asking exactly if they're
All
up
right,
there.
can I
have
just
one question.
interrupt right here and ask Amy?
I will
Amy, can
request
you,
that information.
Can you come back with additional information on the status of that contract?
I will do so.
Thank you so much. All right, we're going to be moving on our agenda. City Council Chair Tommy Waters' office has deferred their time. They've given up their time for the public input tonight. And we don't have a representative as of yet for Governor Green's office. So is there anyone from Senator Stanley Chang's office online? Go ahead.
Alrighty. Hi, I'm Naho. I'm from Senator Chang's office. I just have a couple updates. On October 10th, the 2024 Children Youth Summit will be taking place. So young people can share their thoughts with the legislature on ways to improve the quality of life for youth in Hawaii in various areas such as health body, health mind, homelessness, housing, education, equality, safety, inclusion, and environment. So all youth 24 and under are welcome. And then registration opens in August. I'll include the link with a couple other links in the chat later. And then I just have two other announcements. We have Senator Stanley Chang just wanted to remind everyone that stroke is the #1 cause of chronic disability and the 3rd leading cause of death in Hawaii. So the Department of Health would like to share with the public that common signs of a stroke can be remembered with the acronym BFAST. So B, balance loss, E, eyesight problems, F, face drooping, A, arm weakness, S, speech difficulty, and T, time to call 911. This is an acronym to remember. Be fast if to pick up any signs of a stroke. And then the last announcement is to keep your endless summer of mental and physical fitness going with over 1,000 activities offered at city parks and gardens this fall. The 2024 catalog of classes and programs is now available online. And so there's a lot of classes that are available, including in City District 1 parks. And so they're all open. But yes, if you have any questions, I can take some notes and then bring them back to Senator Chang. So let me know.
Thank you, Maho. Are there questions for Senator Chang's representative? Can you repeat that youth summit again, Maho, the link?
Yes, I'll send it in the chat, but it's at Hawaiʻi CVS. You can find the link at hawaiicvs.org.
Hawaiʻi CVS, did you say?
.org.
.org.
Yes. Alrighty, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone from Senator Chris Lee's office? No one? Representative Jean Ward, have you still yielded your time tonight?
Madam Chair, I've yielded my time, except I would say come to the beer summit, hear Professor Neil Milner talk about who's going to win the election in November. That's at the Wahoo Club, September 5, Thursday, 6 o'clock. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you, Representative Ward. Is there anyone from Representative Mark Hasham's office? Any of our congressional representatives online? Okay, we have a couple items under board business, but because of the lateness of the hour, I am tempted to defer some of this. The first item was discussing the proposed development of the land parcel across Hawaii Kai Post Office by the Department of Hawaiian Homelands, which is currently zoned preservation. So I'm not sure that we have anything new to add to this issue. So can we just defer it till next meeting? All right. And then update on Cocoa Crater Stables. I've asked the mayor's representative for an update on their contract, the status of their contract. And I have invited Aloha Riding Stables to come to a future board meeting to provide information on their operations. Update on the Ka'ivi Coast Scenic Byway. We did hear Sheldon Plentovich's presentation tonight, so I think we've covered that quite a lot, but I think that I should also let the community know that a number of us did attend the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management meeting earlier this week, or was it last week? Last week. And this was a Hawaii task force that BOEM has established in Honolulu to try to address alternative energy. So I'm sure we'll hear a lot more about what they're going to be involved in. And we have no update on the Camilo Nui Valley agricultural issue. Oh, yes, Sam?
Have we heard from Bishop Estate when they'd be coming back to present to the board?
They have delayed their presentation. I did indicate to them that they must come back before the end of this year, even if their documents are not final, that they need to try to stand by their commitment, to report back to us. And so I did ask that they do so before the end of this calendar year. So I'm hoping that perhaps in November, I'll be able to add that to the agenda. So we'll see. Any board committees or other announcements? Okay, let's move on to the approval of the regular meeting minutes for July 30, 2024. Are there any suggestions for revisions? I see no hands. Is everyone agreeable to accepting the minutes as they were written and distributed? I see no objection. So the minutes are accepted. Oh, excuse me. We have a hand online. Joel? Joel, did you want to say something or are you okay with the minutes? All right, seeing no objection, we're going to be accepting the minutes as they were written and distributed. Any other board announcements? Then I'm going to go into the closing announcements for this meeting. The next regular meeting of the Hawaii Kai Neighborhood Board is on Tuesday, September 24th at 7 p.m. at the Hawaiʻi Elementary School cafeteria and on WebEx. Hawaii Kai Neighborhood Board regular meetings are cablecast on Olelo, Channel 49, on the second Monday of the following month at 9 p.m. and repeating on that month's third Friday at 7 a.m. Videos of these meetings can also be seen online at the olelo.org OleloNet website or at the honolulu.gov NCO boards meeting website. I want to thank everybody for coming. There are a lot of people that wanted to participate. We value all of your input. Our board will be considering a letter to the governor about this issue. And I'll be bringing a draft to the board at our next meeting for the board to approve for us to follow up on. So thank you again, and meeting is adjourned.